and of course to Tom. Thanks for letting an Aggie stand up here and say some great things about a Cougar. I started my life as a giant BYU fan. My uncle went to BYU, and he was the only one in our family that had gone to college to a university, and that's all I knew. He took me to my first BYU game when I was 5 years old, and I will never forget it. I was I don't want to make you feel too old, Tom, but I was 8 years old when that 1984 team started their run, and that's prime time when you're a kid. That's when I was sold. I was the guy who would show up at BYU games with shirt off, painted blue with a white Y on my chest. So that was me, causing a lot of trouble and making a lot of noise. And I had somebody ask me the other day, like, well, who do people in Utah cheer for in the NFL? What's the team? I said, well, we have a lot of San Francisco 49er fans. And they say, oh, of course, Steve Young, that makes sense. And I'm like, yeah, it does, but before Steve, there's Tom Holmoe. And your legacy, again, preceded your work as athletic director. We were all very excited when you got the nod to come and serve as athletic director for this team. And I know we have some players here, and I want to thank all of you for the way you represent that institution. But here's the thing, you didn't sign up to represent the state of Utah. Many of you came from outside of Utah, right? This is not your home, this is not where you grew up. You're here temporarily, you're here to play football. But whether you like it or not, you do represent the state of Utah. Every time you put on that Y on your chest and you go and play that game on TV or in another state, people are judging our state by your behavior. And that is true of all of our universities. But I can tell you, I was just in Washington, D.C. this past week, and I had lots of people come up to me and want to talk about the basketball team that win over Kansas. A lot of people don't like Kansas, and they were really excited about that win. But again, that reputation and who you are, it's not something you ask for. You weren't assigned to be representative of the state of Utah, but you're every bit the representative that I am as the governor of Utah. And so I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here today, and I want to thank you for the way that you do portray this state, the way that you do represent this state. We're very proud of you, and we're grateful for your think work. Back a little bit. COVID, obviously. Trying to put games together. That's where we really first connected, and we talked a lot about how can we make this safe for people, how can we keep it open and keep the economy moving, keep sports going in the state of Utah. We were able to do that. NIL and the transfer portal. Right? These are problems that his predecessors never had to deal with. In fact, college sports has become really professional sports these days in lots of different ways, and so it's very different than the job he signed up for 20 years ago. Navigating independence in this landscape is impossible. I still don't know how you did it. Still don't know how you pulled schedules together and were able to get the seasons together that you came to. How you were able to not just compete, but connect and bring people in, recruit under independence, and then navigating the changing landscape of conference realignment. And ultimately landing in the Big 12. And just see landing makes it sound like it just happened. It didn't just happen. There's an incredible amount of work there, a lot of discussion. I was involved with the University of Utah during that time, and every step along the way there were new landmines that you had to navigate. No one has ever had to navigate all of that, and then to come out on the other side doing it better than just about anyone in the country. Maybe anyone in the country. To see the success that has happened, not just with football, but certainly with football, with basketball, men's sports, women's sports, track and field, the best runners in the country are at BYU right now, world-class organizations across the board under your purview and your tutelage. So that would be legacy enough. And enough of a resume to fill multiple pages and to retire and right up into the sunset with a career well spent and a life well lived. But there's so much more to it than that. Not only has Tom Holmoe done all the right things, more importantly than all of that though, he did all of them in the right way. And that's harder to do today than maybe anything else. There are a lot of successful people out there that are willing to cut corners, that are willing to undercut other people, that are willing to use their position of authority to tear other people down. Tom Holmoe never did that. He was the exact opposite of that. In fact, he used his position to deflect to others. He used his position to lift everyone else around him and not take any of the credit. Well, that's why today is a little bit uncomfortable for him. President Reagan had a saying on his desk. Many people have said this before, but there's no end to what you can accomplish when you don't care who gets the credit. And he did care who got the credit. He just wanted to make sure it wasn't him. And that's what makes him so special. I can tell you that the next person I meet who doesn't like Tom Holmoe will be the first person. And that's probably the greatest compliment that I can give. I've yet to meet anybody who doesn't love Tom Holmoe. Now, Tom, before we invite you up here, I just want to read this declaration that we have framed for you today in very government speak. Whereas Thomas Allen Holmoe was born and raised in Los Angeles, California, whereas he attended Brigham Young University and played as a defensive back from 1978 to 1982, after which he went on to play for the San Francisco 49ers from 1983 to 1989, during which time the team won the 3 Super Bowl championships. Whereas he returned to BYU in 2002 to serve as Associate Athletic Director for Development, after which he was appointed Director of Athletics in 2005, whereas during his 23 years as the Director of Athletics, he worked with more than 4,000 student athletes managing 21 intercollegiate sports and an annual staff of 220 sports administration professionals, whereas Holmoe has overseen 4 national championships, 133 conference championships, and more than 350 All-America selections at BYU, whereas he's influenced countless young athletes and aspiring sports professionals and revolutionized the Department of Athletics at BYU. And whereas Tom Holmoe has been a mentor, both spiritually and professionally, to so many Utahns. Now, therefore, I, Spencer J. Cox, Governor of the State of Utah, do hereby declare February 26th, 2025 as Tom Holmoe Day in the state of Utah. Congratulations, Tom.